What's going on, y'all? We here back again with another one. Alright, so, everybody's out of school, everybody is home to their respective states, and everybody's training. And meanwhile the coaches are still working. So I know that, one thing that a lot of the coaches, well, some coaches are trying to figure out is who's gonna be their starting quarterback next year. We all know that that's the most important position. So I figured, this video will be, for the guys who have the job security, like the job on lock, who I believe will be the starter for this coming season, and the teams who definitely have a quarterback battle on their hands and may be too hard to call, at least from the outside looking in for me. So, without further ado, man, we're going to just get on with the video, man. Now, first off, we're going to start off with the guys who have their job secure at quarterback. And number one guy who we all know, Shedeur Sanders. Freshman of the year last year. Just a very dynamic quarterback, man, who can run and throw the ball. And he's going to have an absolute amount of weapons, even more weapons than last year. Hopefully that their offensive line situation is set. And I know that the guy, a lot of the old linemen who were signed in, mid-year probably wasn't there yet. So I'm pretty sure all the guys that they've signed will be at summer camp, and hopefully that line gets situated. But yeah, so next up, Andrew Body, from TSU, and I believe he is definitely set to have an explosive sophomore year. Dude can run and throw the ball. I don't think he started at the top of the year last year. He didn't start. He came in mid-year, and he just been absolutely amazing, dog. He led his team in rushing, and I think he was top 10 in the conference in rushing. And he can definitely throw the ball. I think he was 59% completion rating. So yeah, he can definitely do his thing, and I hope he's set to have a really good sophomore season. Next up, we have Glennon McDaniel, quarterback for Southern. Now, he had an okay year last year, but they were considered a running team, especially with Davion Ben, Craig Nelson, and a bunch of other guys at the running back position. Now, with two of their running back, matter of fact, I think they have two running backs that's gone. One that graduated, one that hit the transfer portal, and no Marcus McLean. I think, they did say that he had a real good spring ball, so hopefully he can build on the success he had during the spring, and he can have a really good season. I don't know about his offensive weapons in terms of at receiver, but, I hope that he can, do some things for him, and we'll see what happens with Southern. Next up, got Skylar Perry, quarterback for Pine Bluff. And, while I do believe that he'll be the starter, I think he's on a short leash. He had a real good spring season, but he had a terrible fall season. I think he was treated like Cam Newton. He had bad first halves, and he'll be taken out of games. There was a game where he got taken out twice. Like, he got taken out, they got put back in at the start of the second half, and then got taken back out. Like, he had a rough year last year. So him coming back for, I don't know if he graduated and he's coming back for, his grad year, but hopefully he has a better season. And Pine Bluff, that team is still unknown possibility. Like, honestly don't know what they have offensively. You know, it's going to be real. Like, I have a lot of questions for Pine Bluff. So hopefully, you know, Skylar Perry can do what he did in the spring season and, you know, and have that type of season. Because he had a fall season to forget about. So hopefully he can pick up where he left off in the spring and build on that season. Now for the guys who I believe will be starters next year, even with them not playing last year. So I have Jalen Jones, for Bethune-Cookman. I seen the other guys that he has on the roster in terms of quarterback, and me just looking at that, I believe he's the best choice to play quarterback. I think he could have played anywhere else and really contended for a starting job, and he has the most experience. He's a transfer from Jackson State, also a transfer from Florida. So he definitely has the most experience in terms of, the quarterback spot on the roster, especially with both of their quarterbacks from last year graduating. I think he's going to take the reins, and we're going to see what happens with that. Right, so the next quarterback I have is Demarius Davis, the transfer from Auburn. Especially with Ryan Nettles hitting the transfer portal, I do believe that he will come in right away and start. Coach Robinson did an amazing job with recruiting. He's gonna have a whole new slate of weapons. He also has that tight end who was a 4-star recruit. He's transferring from Clemson. Well, he actually graduated from Clemson and going to Alabama State for grad. So Alabama State is about to look totally different on offense, and I absolutely can't wait to see how that team looks. Especially with Demarius Davis. He is considered like a high school football legend in the state of Texas. So hopefully he can come in and he can probably do some good things right away, but in my opinion, I believe he's going to come in and start right away. So I have Demarius Davis. Now for the teams that I believe that do have quite a quarterback battle on their hands. So first team I'm going to get to is Alcorn State. And they have a battle, and the quarterback I have battling out for that quarterback spot is Aaron Allen and Marcovon Quinn. Now, Aaron Allen is the transfer from Louisiana Tech, and I think he played a few games. Last year, and he had he had 8 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. So he had he had an okay-ish season, but I did see him, and I've seen all the quarterbacks that they had on the roster, in terms of their spring game, and they definitely have decent quarterbacks at that spot. But I think those two guys really stood out to me. And far as Quinn is a grad transfer from Memphis, and I think on his first drive, he actually drove down the field and scored. But I did see Aaron Allen, with him paired up with Nico Duffy a lot during spring ball, and they both threw some real good balls. Both guys had some here and there, off throws here and there, but for the most part, those were the two quarterbacks that really stood out to me in the spring ball. So I know Alcorn will have a tough decision to make on who will be the starter, but I do believe those two are going to be the quarterbacks to really battle it out for that starting job. Next up, I have Alabama A&M, and the two guys are Quincy Casey and Jaron Williams. Now, Quincy Casey is the transfer from Jackson State. And he stood behind Aqeel Glass last year, like for the entire year. So I think he has the upper hand in terms of the knowledge for the playbook. Meanwhile, I do believe that Jaron Williams is the better talent in terms of the quarterback position. And, last time he played a full season was, I think, in 2019 when he played with the Miami Hurricanes before he ended up transferring to USF. And I haven't seen any spring ball footage from them, but those two guys are the most talented quarterbacks on the roster. And so I think, judging by me not seeing any highlight film from them during spring ball, I can only guess to see which quarterback is going to start. I'm not going to make that guess. I'm just going to say that those two are in a quarterback battle. But those two are the best quarterbacks on the roster. And it's going to be real interesting to see who gets that starting job between those two. Next up, Grambling State. You have Kajara Halloween, Quintarius Hawkins, and Julian Calvez. Now, as the first two that I named, Halloween and Hawkins, those two have the slight upper hand only because those two guys signed mid-year and participated in spring ball. So they have the knowledge of the playbook. Now, I think what hurt them just a slight bit is that none of the quarterbacks during the spring game really stood out to me. I didn't see any spring practices, so it may tell a different story. But in terms of the spring game, the offense for all the quarterbacks that have participated didn't really stand out. The defense really shut the offense down damn near the entire day. But the thing about that is that, with Elijah Walker and Noah Bowden both hitting the transfer portal, I believe those two are the guys who will compete for that starting job. But Julian Calvez, who will be a freshman as well, will have a good chance to compete. For me, only because, there was no quarterback that really stood out in the spring game. But I do believe that Halloween and Hawkins are the two favorite in terms of who will battle it out for that starting job. Calvez does have a good shot. I think he has a fighter's chance. So we'll see what happens with them during summer camp, and we'll probably hear some things about who will be that guy. Who that guy coming up. The next team I have is Fairview, and I have Trezon Kennelly versus Chris Scott. Now, Kennelly did play a slight bit last year. I think the first time I actually seen him in action was in the SWAC championship when Jawan Path was pulled. Now, in terms of Chris Scott is a transfer student from Alabama State. Now, from some other tape that I've seen during their spring game, Kennelly actually started the first two drives, and they scored on both drives, and he threw the ball very well. I didn't really see too much on Chris Scott, so I kind of want to leave that speculation open because as much as I want to say that Kennelly is going to start, I didn't see Chris Scott in action. Well, a lot in action. Although he was the next quarterback that was, that was set to play, in the spring game. But I didn't see a lot of highlights from him, so I'm just leaving that open. But if I have to have a gut feeling on who I believe, it would be Kennelly. But I only have this in this category only because I didn't see Chris Scott in action. So I don't know. But Canelli did look good in those first 2 drives, but we'll see what happens during the summer. Team, Mississippi Valley State. You got Jamari Jones, you have Quincy Ivory, and we have Travis Mumphy. Now, Jamari Jones was the number 1 JUCO quarterback last year, and he surprised a lot of people and went on to commit to Valley State. Now, while I'll say that he may be the favorite, I haven't seen the other 2 quarterbacks. I haven't seen any of these quarterbacks in action during spring ball. So I don't know who's good. I don't know who started. I really don't know anything. But I do know that these are the 3 guys who are competing for the job. I didn't see Quincy or Travis play any last year because they did have 2 other quarterbacks that were on the roster, and now both of those quarterbacks are gone. So now it's those 3 guys. But I think but I do know probably Jamari Jones. Just off of guessing, he probably will be probably has the best chance to start, but I don't know because I haven't seen anything. They haven't seen any highlights or anything, but those are the 3 guys who are competing for that job, and we'll see what happens. Like I said, last, and this is kind of a shocker to me. FAMU, Rashawn McKay versus Jeremy Mosa. Now, any other time, if there was any other quarterback that probably joins the team, I'm picking Rashawn McKay. And now, while I do believe that they may make him into the starter, Jeremy makes it a really interesting battle. Now, outside of his first throw in the spring game, Jeremy looked pretty damn good. He's a grad transfer from Vandy, although he started his college career at Hawaii. Then he went to his JUCO, and he had over 500-600 yards in his first JUCO game with 5 touchdowns, and he just continued to build off of that. And this guy, and he could run and throw the ball. I've seen him make some really, really good throws in the spring game, and that's what I'm pretty sure that's what makes it tough for it to be, just a straight, for Rashawn to just have that starting job right away. Now, even though he did do some really, really good things last year, especially with the weapons that he has returning, Jeremy does make it an interesting battle. Although I do believe that McKay will start. He will start this year. In my speculation, Jeremy does make it a real interesting battle to me. So it's gonna be real interesting. Even when I read, some things, in regards to their spring game, I did read that there is a quarterback battle at FAMU. And that's the only reason why I put FAMU in this category, because Coach Willie says so. Even Coach Willie says that this is a real good quarterback battle, and he's not putting out who the starter. He's not making McKay the starter right away just yet. So that is a real interesting thing for me to hear, because Rashawn, he did lead them to the playoffs last year. There was 1 game away from the SWAC championship game. They only lost to Jackson State, and that was in the first game of the year, but it's a real interesting quarterback battle in Florida, so that's going to be a lot interesting to see. Now, I do have a lot more lists that I am creating, during the summer. I do have some things in the works that I'm still going over. I have a few lists that I wrote down, I finished, but then started over because the list probably didn't look right to me. But I think it's dangerous, But I'm gonna wait to to put out the list. But it's definitely gonna be a crazy summer to wait. The SWAC is full of the unknown. We don't know what's gonna happen in the SWAC. So it's gonna be real interesting to see, man, and I can't wait for it. I can't wait.